Welcome to the Reptile Gumbo podcast, episode 233. I think I went backwards. Normally it's episode 233. Anyways, it's 233. I had to rush home from kid stuff. I had to go to National Junior Honor Society thing.
So, I had to rush from that bedroom right there because when I got home from work at 4 o'clock, I passed out and woke up 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I realized when you didn't message me back, I was like, maybe I should message him again.
Yeah, we've been doing a big project at an apartment complex that's under construction, and I bet I've walked 25 miles in the last 2 days, up and down stairs, and
that sounds horrible.
It's hot. It was like 95 degrees today, so I'm exhausted.
A nice, cool 95 degrees?
Yeah, nice, crisp, fall-like 95 degrees.
Oh, I don't have Katie may pop in later. We got home. She's eating and doing like kid stuff. So let's try and see if I can remember how to do all this. Lil's Shop of Horrors. If you need any feeders, rodents, roaches, any of that stuff, reach out to Lewis at Lil's Shop of Horrors. They have high quality feeders. They feed high quality. I know there's more to this. Katie has it written down. But if you need rodents and feeders, reach out to Lewis. That dude puts way too much thought into what he feeds his rats. So go over there. You'll get great rats from him. Wonderful guy. I'm going to get him to take us out west Texas sometime and show us cool snakes. Because I want to see cool snakes.
Yep.
Me too. Oh, speaking of cool snakes, I've had a cop that I went and removed a snake from his house like a month or two ago. I think you told me. He messaged me a couple days ago. He's like, "Hey, what's this?" I think it was like a rat snake. It was from far off, but I was like, "It's not venomous. You're good." He's like, "Okay," and he scooted it off. And then today he sent me one. He's like, "Hey, what's this?" Like, "Oh, that's a baby cottonmouth." He's like, "Oh, it's already gone. I sprayed it with a hose and it went away." I was like, "Thanks for not killing it." He's like, "Yep, he won't kill it." So,
gee, Chris. Well, yeah, it's because we're 30 miles apart, Chris.
I'm gonna say that's because he's not here.
Yeah.
So, wait until.
But I did buy a good camera instead of just using my shitty little computer camera.
Yeah, you're not all sparkly right now behind you.
Like a sparkly vampire. Yeah.
Oh, but go check out Little Shop of Horrors. Also, VivTech products. If you need LED UVB light bulbs, go use code Gumbo22 and save 15% on all your VivTech needs and VivTech smart devices and cameras. Go check them out. They're awesome people over there at VivTech. Let me pull up. I was not ready at all. Let me pull up Herps real quick, and I can tell you the upcoming shows. We just had Conroe, which I'm sure we'll talk about tonight with our guest who I saw at Conroe. But coming up October 5th, October 6th, Belton, Texas. That's one at Waco, right? It's near Waco, Waco-ish, Waco adjacent. Okay. November 2nd, November 3rd. That's Rosenberg, Texas. That's here. That's just south of Houston. That's our home show. Come see me. I'll be there. I'll be set up with a table. I'll have snakes for sale. So come see me at that show. Sulphur, Louisiana, November 9th, November 10th. That's the old Lake Charles show. It's like, I don't know, 10 miles closer to us or maybe less than that from Lake Charles, which is weird now. The skyline of Lake Charles has got to be weird as fuck to drive by now.
Yeah.
Now they blew down the building. If anybody's ever driven through Lake Charles, you'll know there's one giant building after the hurricane several years ago. It just never came back and they finally blew it down. West Monroe, Louisiana, November 16th, November 17th. Denison, Texas. That's too far north of me. November 23rd, November 24th. Austin, Texas. That's our friend's home show. I may come over to that one. December 7th, December 8th. Slidell, Louisiana, which is December 14th, December 15th. Your last chance to get some of those last minute Christmas gifts. That's the last Herp show of the year. And then the first Herp show of the year says Oklahoma City, but you know damn well I'm not going there. So that's not the first one for me. But if you want to, January 11th, January 12th, you can go to the way north. Go to Oklahoma City, or not. It's Oklahoma. I've been there twice, and I'm good.
Yeah,
it's probably too many. What else? Also coffee and tea. Go check out Cold Blooded Caffeine. Use code Reptile Gumbo. Sorry, Reptile Gumbo. Save 10% and 5% of all proceeds go to save the rainforest. So hey, look, there's Lewis. There's our West Texas guide. Lewis, you're going to be stuck with us at some point. You're going to go show us snakes. And I guess we'll try to find a fucking alternative so I can be just as nerdy as the rest of you guys out west. Go, oh, look at what I found in the rocks.
You'll probably find one because you don't want to.
Most likely. I want to find a long-nosed snake. I think a long-nosed snake's cool looking.
Yeah, they are.
We're not going far enough west for pink coach whips, are we?
We should be.
Are we? Oh, that'd be cool. Pepto-Bismol snake. I'm sure I can catch that. They're known to be slow.
Yeah. Be like that freaking turtle that day.
Fuck. I'm telling you, that's the fastest animal on Earth. I asked someone this weekend at a show. I said, "What's the fastest animal on Earth?" And they said cheetah. I said, "No, it's an adult soft-shell turtle. It's the fastest animal on Earth." Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
5,000 miles an hour. Let's if we go this year. No, sir. What do you mean? Oh, if we go well, we'll figure it out, Lewis. You're gonna take me. I'm gonna find a rattlesnake. I want to find a rattlesnake. I don't care at this point what it is, just a rattlesnake. I'm tired of cottonmouths. So, and then I'm gonna pick it up and I can hold it just right and it won't bite me.
Yeah. If you control it in the middle of its body, you can control which way it goes.
You got it. You're fine. Anyways. Anything else going on?
Nothing really since last week. No.
Not much here other than stuff at the show. And I was gonna bring our guest in because our guest was at the show. I know she sold a few animals this weekend. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest. Did I click the button? Our guest tonight is our friend Kori Martin from Kori Martin's Reptiles. Oh, look, Katie joined us too.
Oh yeah, hey Katie.
Dropping off sodas. Which soda's mine? Oh, that's fine. I just need to know which one was mine. She ran away. She said, "Oh, Kori's on. Fuck this," and ran away.
Right? I know.
That's messed up.
I sensed the aggression in her.
She's our friend, Katie. God, so wrong. So how's it going, Kori?
It's good. Just shipped out a couple animals today. So
you were about to say snakes, and you know what snakes.
I was about to say snakes, and I was like, "Well, shit, I don't have snakes. Never mind."
Couldn't have shipped out snakes. Don't have snakes.
Autopilot. Yeah.
Do you have any snakes at all anymore?
No, I have no snakes in my collection. Not a single snake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to be?
Yeah, right.
Feel weird to be back in the country.
It does. I've been back for 2 weeks and I have not adjusted yet. Like my brain is still wants to be in Brazil. I was gonna say it's been hard, but no one would feel sorry for me, so I will not say that.
You're also going to Australia in a little while, and I'm not gonna feel sorry for you then either. So unless you end up unless you're like, I'm going to a war zone to get pictures of like refugees, then maybe I'll be like, okay, I hope you're safe.
Yeah.
But you're going to Australia to get pictures of carpet pythons and dragons.
Kind of a war zone, no. In terms of the kinds of animals that are there, like it's not safe.
Yeah. Where are you going in Australia?
Where?
Mm-hmm.
At Queensland. Okay. So we're going to be spending some time up in the Cape York Peninsula, which I am super pumped about because we'll be able to hopefully find green tree pythons, hopefully be able to find tree monitors, all sorts of exciting stuff up there. A number of carpet python localities that I've worked with in the past and all that kind of stuff. So it should be really exciting. I'm really, really pumped for it. But yeah, we're just staying in Queensland on this trip.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be a blast.
But yeah, a lot of different kinds of ecosystems just within Queensland. So
I should definitely know where places are in Australia, but I don't. Oh, okay, it is. Are y'all gonna go to the Australia Zoo? Because
I don't think so, because I think that's in Brisbane.
It says Australia. It says Queensland.
Oh, okay, maybe. I don't know.
700 acre zoo in Australia, state of Queensland.
Oh.
And Beerwah. Yeah.
I'll have to look into that then.
Go to Australia.
We're flying in and out of Cairns. And that's about all I know.
That's all you gotta know. Just get there.
Right, exactly. But it should be good. It's one of those things where I've wanted to do Australia forever, and when I had the opportunity, I couldn't pass it up.
I was looking at Blake's website a while back, and I saw that they fly into Cairns, and so I started looking at the pricing to fly there, and I was like, if you're going to be there for a week, you need to put 2 days on each end just for travel.
Oh yeah, it's substantial. I fortunately had some credits that I needed to use up for that trip, so that helped with the pricing a lot. But
that's good.
But yeah, the length of the flights is going to be pretty intense.
Are you probably having to stop over in Dubai?
No. So I'm going straight from LA to Sydney.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's a long flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I hope you find lots of stuff, but part of me thinks it'd be hilarious if you go there and find nothing after all the shit you found in South America.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a possibility, right? I mean, wildlife doesn't always cooperate with you. So
Unless you're in South America and you just find jaguars everywhere.
I mean, we were in a particular area where they are in like the most densely populated, numbers that they are anywhere in the world. So it was
Got it. You cheated. You were in a zoo.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
All
No,
your
I'm totally fine with cheating. And these ones are also kind of habituated to human presence because people are there taking pictures of them all the time because there's so many of them. So it is totally kind of cheating, but it was still awesome.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing. My favorite was the small video of you laying on the ground and then panning like 20 feet away to the caiman.
The crazy thing is it looks like it was 20 feet away because he was using because the particular lens he's using, it was like I was quite close.
Yeah. So if it wanted to take off, you were done for.
Yeah. I mean, it's a caiman, right? So it's not like it was a croc, but it was still a beefy guy. So
and then your picture of like the 7 trillion of them in like one river.
Yeah. They were so this was super interesting to me in the Pantanal. I just knew that it was an inland wetlands, but I didn't realize how profoundly dry it gets during the dry season. And basically, except for rivers and a few isolated water holes, like it just completely dries up. So all of the caimans that are the rest of the year, like swimming through these lush marshes, are forced to, kind of wait out the season in these really small bits of water. And then, of course, that's what then draws the jaguars to the location, because there's such an abundant source of food because all the animals are congregating around this limited source of water, that you see them like in just such dense population compared to like how they normally are. We would see one animal on one side of the river and directly across would be another jaguar. And then around the corner was another jaguar. And that's just not something that you typically see with them. Normally they're solitary with very large ranges and not particularly tolerant of one another.
Yeah.
So you went at that time of year, kind of on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It was so it's I don't know if you've been seeing some of the stuff about the fires that have been going on in Brazil and Bolivia this year. But a lot of the region is massively on fire right now, and it's a particularly dry season. And there were several days where the amount of smoke in the air was like just suffocating. We had to, put buffs on over our noses. And even then it was getting hard to breathe. So
wow.
Particularly on the really hot days, the smoke would just kind of settle in.
I'm going to be a pain. Hey, Kori, do you have a fan pointed at your microphone?
I do not.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't hear anything.
I can't on this side. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm anal about sound. No, it's me. It's
okay.
It's 100% him.
It's fine.
Okay. I have a fan on in the room. I can try turning it off. Tell me if that's any better.
It is.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm so glad I could help.
Did you find any anacondas?
We found one yellow anaconda that was tucked into a rock crevice, and we were not allowed to pull it out to play with it. But we did see one. We saw a whole lot of black and white tegus.
Really?
A lot of them. And then obviously like just all of the caiman, all of the Akari caiman in the world.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. It was.
Did you tell them about your uncle's trip?
No, I showed Kori the pictures, some of the pictures while there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she would appreciate that.
My uncle's currently in Rwanda.
So cool.
There was a video today of him having like the guards having to like grab his arm and like pull him out of the way as this giant silverback decided he just wanted to walk straight through them.
Oh wow.
And like the guards will grunt the right grunt to let the silverback know that they're not threatening him.
Yeah.
And he just walked right past them.
Wow.
But yeah, you can see a video of my uncle like being moved out of the way as this giant silverback gorilla just like, hey, this is where I want to walk.
Incredible.
And yet tons of pictures. You got video the other day of them farting because they eat so much vegetation. Apparently they just fart all the time.
Awesome.
He said it was one of the worst smells he's ever experienced in his life.
I
I
believe
said
it.
I believe it.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, talking about like the habituated jaguars we talked about this weekend. You know, those guys are, because he did the gorillas this week, and then last week he was with chimpanzees, and the chimpanzees, they told him, you know, they only visit a certain family when they take people, because the other families are farther out and they don't like people and they may kill you. So they only go to the ones that are like, hey, we just lay here in the sun all day.
Yeah, the ones who have realized that it is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the things I've noticed is that animals are super aware of where they're safe and where they're not. Yeah. When I was in Zimbabwe, the main property where we were staying on allowed big game hunting, and the animals that were there were all very, very wary of human presence. But then if you went like several miles down the road to the national park, literally the same animals were just totally relaxed and didn't care about humans being around.
Oh yeah, this summer we were in Tennessee, and they've re-released elk into the area of Tennessee, up in the Smokies. Mm-hmm. And you can drive through, and like they're right there on the side of the road. They have like docents, like volunteers that walk the side of the road to keep cars moving or stop cars so they can see them. Like, and these people are standing on like 30 yards away from these elk, and the elk just sitting there eating, laying around. They stop the traffic so they can walk across the road at night.
We saw a mom like nursing babies,
right
literally on the curb.
How sweet.
And it was they had absolutely no care. So there were the humans, right?
So we passed through the first time, and it was just a whole bunch of cows and babies and calves. And then I was like, damn, I really wanted to see big elk. And I was like, I don't know what time of year they have antlers, but I really wanted to see it. Huh?
Now?
Yeah. So we went through and we didn't see any. I was like, oh, well, I guess maybe they don't have antlers. I don't know. On our way back, we stopped, and there was another patch of them, and there were two younger males. And then off the distance, there was a huge fucking male with just this massive set of antlers. I was like, oh, that is awesome to see.
Amazing.
But it was like cool. I said, they get in those areas, they get used to people, and you can get right next to them, which is why you see fucking idiots getting hit by bison in parks out west, because the dumbass go, let me go look at this bison.
Yep.
People
I think people don't understand how dangerous bison are. There are by far more fatalities in Yellowstone related to bison than grizzly bears.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You're going with people that it's different when you're on your trips. It's probably a little different, but like some people that go to these places and they see these wild animals, and they think just because they can get 20 feet from them that it's not a wild animal anymore.
Right.
And they're like, no, that wild animal's letting you be 20 feet from it, but it can all of a sudden decide it doesn't want you 20 feet from it very quickly.
That's right.
That's like so my uncle's saying with the gorillas, like they'll walk by you and you don't move, and sometimes they'll nudge you, and then sometimes they'll throw you 20 feet across the jungle just to push you out of the way. Like it's however they feel in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, elephants was the one for me that like really stood out. Like African elephants, they're so massive, and it's possible to get quite close to them, but you don't want to be quite close to them on foot. You want to be able to make a fast exit.
All those videos where you see them like charging trucks and everything. Yeah.
So there was one day where his uncle's caravan got like stuck on the side of the road. That was the day that he got all the shots of the elephants.
Oh yeah.
And they were just like walking down the road, and here's, elephants, and then here's their car stuck. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, because you get animals like that who realize what they are. Like they don't have to try and run from you or try and threaten you, because they fucking know they can. They just like, it's like those gorillas. Like I guarantee those gorillas like, no, I know I can kill you at any moment. There's no reason for me to fear you. Mm-hmm. And so they're fine with it. Darren said there was a video of a guy feeding a grizzly last week. The grizzly charged him but didn't attack.
That's really unfortunate, because once grizzlies learn that people are a source of food, they will not leave people alone, and it ends up usually being fatal for that animal.
Yep.
It really sucks.
Yeah. Well, did you see? I don't know if you saw the video that went around a little while back of the guy. Like this black bear goes walking through this backyard while these people are like having a cookout or something. And the guy kind of like decides he's gonna walk it out, and then he gets to the gate to open the gate for it, and he's like, "Come on!" And the bear just like smacks him, and then keeps going, and then he pulls up his shirt, and he's got just rip marks across his stomach. Like fucking no, just get out of the way and let the bear do it. The bear will move out of its way when it wants to.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
I want so bad to go out and go on like South American thing and find stuff in the wild. But my only problem is not so much afraid of the animals, like the big animals. It's fucking mosquitoes.
Yeah, so the Pantanal was wonderful. There were not mosquito issues because it was so dry.
Okay, that's what I got to do then.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, it's amazing. It was so dry. My first time on one of these trips where there just weren't a lot of bugs.
Because your last trip to South America was bad.
It was bad. It was really bad. There were just at night we would just be walking through clouds of mosquitoes. And I mean clouds of them. It was I've never seen anything like it. So I'm pretty at this point I'm pretty intense about making sure that I'm bug treating freaking everything. I spray all of my clothes with permethrin before I go.
She's like, I'm not gonna have mites at home or bugs away, so I'm good.
Right, exactly. So yeah, spray all my clothes with permethrin. I wear a lot of bathe in DEET. But I have to be careful with DEET because it can damage camera equipment. So it's like I've got to spray it on my body, but I can't get it on my hands. So one of these days you'll see me just covered with hands full of bug bites or something.
Oh
but my camera's safe.
Of course.
I got malaria.
My camera's safe.
Malaria from this bite right here on my finger.
Yeah.
The camera made it.
Yep.
So we were watching Naked and Afraid, and the one chick got stung by a scorpion.
Yeah, she was sleeping. She knocked a scorpion off herself.
There were like 4 different kinds that it could have been, and then they couldn't find it.
Well, there was one they were worried about, and they couldn't find it. But she wasn't dying, so they figured it wasn't that one.
The medic team was like, "Okay, we know it's not this one. So if you want to stay, you can stay." And she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna stay."
Yeah.
But,
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about going back to Peru. I'm going back in November, and bugs there are legit. And there's a bunch that will absolutely just demolish you.
I know listening to the guys on NPR every now and then, and I think you're going somewhere different, but I know that flies were really bad over there, and like having a hat with a net might be like key.
Yeah. I was reading there's something about there's a particular biting insect that's kind of like no-see-ums in the South.
Gross.
Where you just you never see them, but they bite the heck out of you. So that'll be fun.
Those are the worst.
Strongly recommend a hat with a net.
Yeah. I have a little net that goes over my hat.
Timothy says, do you have to take any vaccines or something when going in and out of these places like this to prevent parasites or etc.?
So I have typically, when I've gone to a place where malaria is prevalent, I do typically take malaria medication. I have gotten vaccines for yellow fever and something else. I think typhus or typhoid. I don't remember which one is the one that you have to worry about. But I've taken those vaccines. But generally, no. Just I take preventative for malaria, and then the other main concern is drinking something in the water or that sort of thing. So I take Pepto-Bismol because that actually has antibiotic properties that in case you have some kind of bacterial infection in your stomach.
That's good to know. I've been taking that for the last 3 days.
You should take Benadryl in case you're bit by a venomous snake. Benadryl will help with it.
Yeah, Benadryl is a good one too. I usually travel with a whole bunch of medicine, and I'm kind of like the mom handing out medicine to people. But
Antoine said if you had to pick one person on this planet that represents all that's good with humanity, it's you.
100 times 100.
This thing, Antoine. Thank you.
I agree with that statement
100%. Incredibly.
It's you or Michael.
James.
It's you or Pinnell.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a tough race.
I talked shit about Pinnell last week, and then I saw him this week, and he's like, hey, Pinnell, I said shit about you. He goes, I know you did multiple times. Like, I didn't mean it.
No, James told me earlier, today's actually the first day I have felt human.
I'm so sorry.
It is passing, but thank you. But James was like, well, it's Kori. If you feel it. And I'm like, just put me by the door in case I have to run and vomit in the bathroom. It'll be okay. So I'm like right here by the door.
Oh,
But
you poor thing.
I actually, now that I've eaten, I'm fine again. So I think we're finally getting the hang of.
Norm, I figured you told him I talk shit about him. It's cool. I got it.
Oh, Norm.
It's so
I
funny.
missed you, Norm.
But I told Kori the other day, I said the most impressive thing I think of, because I've known Kori now for like, what, 4 years probably?
I feel like
Yeah,
it's so
I
much
would say
longer
so,
than that.
probably.
It's probably about 4 years. And when we first met Kori, I remember we sat down at a Mexican restaurant
Yep.
on a vendor dinner. And I didn't know this one. I was like, she just had some like ball pythons, some carpet pythons. Like, okay, whatever.
Oh, that was
Yep.
forever ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know this woman at all. And then you went from that to where you are now, and it's such a short time. I told you the most impressive thing I think about you is how fast you become good at something.
Oh, anything you try to do.
Because
Yeah.
what you've done with the monitors in such a short period of time, when people
I want to be you when I grow up.
Oh, you're very, very sweet.
well, and then we all look, all three of us would look at your pictures while you were in South America, and they were all amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure you took. Everyone takes shitty pictures, but you didn't post.
Oh no, I mean, I took 15,000 images, and there's a
Yeah.
reason. I'm
Oh,
not
I don't
posting
even want to know how
15,000
many his
pictures.
uncles.
But
Yeah.
like, I was super happy. This was, I felt like my skill as a photographer really took like a step up for this trip, and I was really happy with what
That's so
with the kind of
great.
stuff that I was producing.
It's also got to help because you're going to take pictures of things you really don't take pictures of.
Yeah,
Like it'd be different. I was like, all right, I gotta go take portraits of people for proms. Like that's not.
I
That's
couldn't do
worse.
it. I couldn't do it.
Or
I,
National Junior Honor Society induction at the last.
Yeah.
True.
And honestly, like I don't even like macro photography of reptiles all that much. I find it really, really tedious because you're having to like, you need to have like 3 hands because you got your camera, you've got your light, you've got to control the whatever the animal is. And you're constantly trying to move things around and like subtle movements of the light to see exactly where it casts best. And it's very, very detailed and meticulous. And it kind of drives me crazy. I'd rather like just sit out in a hide for 4 hours waiting for that perfect moment.
Yeah.
And then, and then snap away at it. So, but
awesome.
enjoy it a lot.
Well, stop being good at stuff. Leave some stuff for us.
I was gonna say I'll do my best, but I won't.
So
I love it.
all right, so the one thing you're on all these trips, right? And you started out with snakes.
Yep.
When you're out of town, I'm assuming your husband's taking care of everything.
Yes, he is.
I've never asked you, how does he feel about now having to take care of lizards instead of snakes?
So he likes taking care of the lizards more than he liked taking care of the snakes, in particular because when I had all the snakes, I was also breeding rodents.
Yeah.
And the snakes could more or less like that. He didn't need to do a whole lot with the snakes, but he had to do a lot with the rodents while I was gone.
Yeah.
And that's pretty nasty. And so he's a lot happier with the lizards. He usually gets my daughter to handle all the bug stuff because he doesn't want to deal with the bugs, but he's fine with spraying and changing waters and that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just
But
imagine
I also feel horrifically guilty every time I'm gone because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bring all these animals into the house and then leave you to take care of all of them while I'm gone. So I'm trying to just consolidate projects a little bit so I don't have quite so many animals to leave with him every time because I'm going to keep leaving.
Has he gotten to where he can do hands-on stuff? Well, like with snakes, it seems much easier to train someone to be hands-on with a snake than it does with a spastic tree monitor.
Well, yeah, and so yeah, he's had some times where one will escape while he's spraying while I'm gone, and he has to go hunt it down and catch it and put it back. And I keep welding gloves handy for him so he can just
Trial by
toss those
fire.
on. And
Trial by fire. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. So apparently it happened twice over the weekend. 2 animals got out 2 times.
Oh my
but
gosh.
he chased him down and got him and everything was fine. And for me, it's hard to let go a little bit. Like I tend to want to micromanage everything and it's hard to just kind of be like, okay, he's got it under control. It might not be exactly how I want to do it, but it's okay.
Well, and you can't afford to micromanage too much because, I mean, face it, he's doing you a favor so you can go
He's
travel the
doing me
world.
a tremendous favor. He is the most tolerant, sweet human being on the planet. I don't know that I would be able to tolerate as much if tables were turned. So I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah, because I don't think people think about it. Like you jumped head first into this stuff, especially with the monitors. You went fast.
Yeah.
And for someone who's not a reptile person, but your husband is not a reptile person, And all of a sudden he's like, all right, now I've got to learn something completely different than ball pythons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I never even thought about that though.
Yeah.
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 It helps that he enjoys it more. But it's still, and he would much rather, spray a monitor cage than, clean out rat bins while I'm gone.
Yeah. There's no way I could have done rats.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
I can't.
Yeah.
Although I think I'd rather take care of the monitors than the bird.
Yeah. The birds, he's really messy. So he's recently taken to pooping in his food bowl. So that's really fun.
Is he mad because you keep leaving? Is this a tantrum?
I don't know what his deal is. He actually I don't think that he's mad. I think he's just realized that if he poops in his food bowl, we'll open the food bowl thing more and give him brand new food more frequently instead of making him, eat his way through. And
sounds like a bird needs to be eating some shit.
So I think that's his strategy.
I had a guinea pig that did that.
Really?
Yes. She would poop in her food bowl when it got like towards the bottom. And I was like, no, you still have food in there. And I would even like shake the bowl up and then put it back in. And she started pooping in it when it would get too low.
I don't remember that.
Animals are jerks. Let's just leave it at that.
My box turtle poops in our water every time I change it.
That's just because
that's so fun.
Every time. And the kids have gotten like, it's only a month into school. And somebody would be like, oh, look, she's in her water. And one of the kids, she's going to poop in it. It happens every time. Like they just roll their eyes about it now. It's great.
So where are you now with monitor projects? You've kind of figured out black tree monitors now, right? You got that?
Well, I figured out one pair of black tree monitors and they're doing really, really well. I have another 2 females and 1 male that I'm working on getting productive. I had 1 round of cycling with that female and she ended up having a phantom cycle. So that was a bummer, but we'll see about the next time. And then I have probably more grow-ups that I need for my black tree stuff. And this is one of the things I'm realizing, like the animals that I have are going to keep producing for quite some time. And I don't actually need a whole lot of grow-ups like in the wings, like I did with snakes.
Well, and it's also a black tree monitor looks like a black tree monitor, which looks
right.
Like
Exactly. And it's like, okay, like having a couple pairs is decent. Then I can give customers unrelated animals. Then like, I can potentially, create a different pair down the road, but, beyond that, it's really, really not necessary. So black, but my 1 pair is just, they're ridiculous. My female just ovulated for the 5th time since last summer.
Wow.
She's just been like clockwork. It's been pretty crazy. She recovers so well after laying. She is just so consistently cycling. I've been incredibly fortunate with her, and that was just pure dumb luck. So blacks are doing really well. My green tree monitors are doing really well. My yellow pair has produced 1 clutch for me. And then I'm still trying to get my blues to go. They've been really frustrating me. I have 2 pairs that are paired up and I cannot keep weight on my females. And I was talking to another tree monitor breeder last night who has had some similar issues with a lot of the animals in his blue project. So I don't know if it's just blue tree monitor females being really picky or what it is, but that's been the challenging part for me is I'll get the females kind of plumped up. And then as soon as I introduce the male, they kind of stop eating, let the male eat everything. Then they lose enough weight that I have to remove the male. So that's my challenge there.
What have you reproduced so far? I know the black ones you've done a couple times, right? Or several times.
So I've hatched 3 clutches of black tree monitors, 2 clutches of green tree monitors, 3 clutches of Ackies.
Yeah, that's one of those this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's it so far. I have a yellow clutch in the incubator, but it's 1 egg. So, but it's doing fine. And then I have another green clutch, I have another black clutch. I'll be getting another black clutch in another month. And hopefully one of these days my blues will get it together.
So with all that, at what point do you feel you've been successful? Do you feel you're successful because you got them to breed one time, or is there a point where you're like, all right, I've figured this out now, or are you still at the point where like I have not figured this out? I've just gotten lucky.
So I don't think there is a figuring out with tree monitors. Every female is very unique, and so I think you can learn some general things of like, this collection of things are things that can be used to help a female be productive, but it's going to take different things from that, pile of resources each time.
So Timothy in the chat wants to know, he said, so with tree monitors, are you just food cycling, or are you doing temp drops or rainy seasons?
Yeah, so I'm just food cycling. I have not had any need to do temp cycles. I don't really do rain season simulation, although that is something I could try to do. The locations where these guys are very close to the equator, so there's a night, like a day to night temp drop, but there's not really a huge seasonal temperature change. So I'm not doing much in terms of seasonal temperature changes in order to stimulate. Really, once a female gets started with the process of cycling, you should expect to see her cycling pretty regularly and pretty frequently. One of the really interesting things that I have learned recently is apparently they're in Indonesia, they're only cycling typically once a year. And I'm not quite sure why we're seeing such, so much faster cycling in captivity. Probably
just food availability.
It's probably a lot to do with the availability of food. Yeah, I don't know. But then even once you get your female cycling regularly, they're really picky about where they lay. Every girl wants to lay in a slightly different location. So, when it's a first time girl, I'm usually providing her with 3 different options for where to lay. The boxes need heat. If it's not heated to the right temperature, they won't lay. So it's usually just kind of figuring it all out for the first time girl. And then once she figures out what she's doing, I just kind of replicate those conditions for her over and over and over again.
So with the 4 different species, have you found any drastic differences between them, or do you think it's just female to female no matter what the species is?
So breeding wise, I haven't personally yet, in terms of what they need to be successful with breeding. That said, I haven't successfully bred the blues. And so it's very possible that, I need to try something something different than what I'm doing right now on the blues. But I think it's more of a food and body condition thing than anything else with them. So personality wise, there are differences, kind of temperament wise between the animals. Across the board, my blues have been a lot more timid than a lot of the other species I keep. The blacks are a little bit jumpy too. Greens are usually very social, and of all of them, Cordensis are usually the ones that are just the most outgoing right out of the egg. But I haven't produced Cordensis yet.
I'll be using scientific names.
What?
Don't be using scientific names. Which one's
I don't have my phone or my
They're the ones from Biak. They're the ones that are kind of a light greenish blue color with more of a lace pattern as opposed to striping.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. And then there's size differences between the different species as well. Cordensis are the smallest, and then blues are the biggest.
I think that's. Oh, by the way, Brandon Wheeler's in the chat. He's
hey, Brandon.
I think that's one thing people don't realize, and it's probably something I didn't realize at first with green trees, or with tree monitors.
Yeah,
because we're so used to in reptiles morphs, right? And so a tree monitor, you're like, oh, that's a black one, and that's a blue one. That's green. You think they're all the same, but they are all different species.
Yeah, absolutely. They are completely different species from different island localities. All part of the Prosonus complex of species. There's, they're very closely related. They can be hybridized, Not that anyone should ever hybridize anything, but it's possible with them.
It's not hybridizing, Kori. It's designers.
I don't like it.
Learn from the green tree people.
I know green trees are beautiful, and it's a little bit different in that community because people didn't realize they were different species until captive populations have been going for a long time. So it's kind of hard to dial that back once it's already happened.
Yeah.
But anyway,
just mix everything that'll breed. Go for it.
Yeah, right.
Have fun.
No.
Sell it as whatever you want.
No, I'm not a fan of that, but other people are certainly able to do what they want with their own animals. But anyway, yeah. So it's one of the things I really enjoy about it is like it's just constant problem solving with them in terms of like having to kind of unlock each individual animal. It's definitely
so crazy.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, with every other reptile out there, it's you find something that works and it normally works for the rest of the species.
Yeah.
And with this one,
do you feel like Ackies are just like you put them together, they fuck? Because like they're so popular in the hobby.
Ackies are ridiculous. They're
the like, rabbits of the lizard.
They're the rabbits of the reptile world. They're like just constantly. I just had a clutch pop out, and the previous clutch isn't even 2 months old yet. Like they're so quick.
I was playing with one this weekend. He was great until he warmed up, and he's like, "Now I want to run."
Yeah. But they're so easy, and I love them. I love Ackies for entry level kind of monitor keepers because they're just tanks. It's really hard to mess up their husbandry. They can thrive.
We were talking this weekend. The two lizards I wish were bigger in the hobby before Savannah monitors and bearded dragons would have been Ackies and blue tongue skinks.
Yeah,
like
for
Ackies
sure.
And blue tongue skinks would have been such better pets to have across the pet trade and have everybody own.
Although yours has been very sassy lately.
Yeah, he's really torn up the bedding. I don't know what's up with him.
He got mad at you for something. He like made all these tunnels and
fatty.
Yeah, it's because you're not feeding him as much.
It was
because he's too chunky.
The other day, he just like slowly fell off of his basking rock to the food bowl, and then
he just like rolled forward.
He wedged between the rocks and the branches, and his front legs weren't touching anything. And he's just like, "All right," and started eating.
It was the fattest moment
it wasn't poor.
Ever.
He kept eating while he couldn't touch the thing. He's like,
"Oh my god,
yeah,
hang here."
I was like, absolutely not. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. It was. Oh man.
But yeah, I wish you'd see Ackies way more on tables rather than water dragons and Savannah monitors and stuff like that. Because
I do too.
But the problem is they're small, and people get that mentality of I don't want a small lizard. I'm like, yes, but it's still a monitor. It does monitor stuff,
and it's not even that small.
Well, in their mind, they want a black dragon because everybody's like, I need a. Like,
there are a very limited number of people who are properly set up for black dragons.
Yeah.
Yes. Drew is one. That cage
is amazing.
That he built at the learning zoo.
Absolutely incredible. He is one.
For him, there's like 40 others that have bought one that don't need one.
Yeah. Easy. If not
black dragons, at least like have a higher price point, so it's a little bit limiting. But some of the things, Nile monitors, people can get for incredibly cheap. And that's challenging.
Same thing with retics.
Yeah.
People buy them as this little 2-foot baby, and 2 years later they have a 10-foot snake and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
sulcatas are a bad one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
That's just for a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
But we're all talking about animals that also, how many of them are actually making it to adulthood?
Yeah.
How many adult retics? How many adult sulcatas? How many adult Savannah monitors, water monitors, Nile monitors? I was about to say, Timothy, baby gators. Go up north where you can buy them. We all live in Texas.
Yeah,
we can't buy them here.
We can't get them.
With that said, I do have a Chinese alligator in my kitchen.
I saved him some tilapia.
44 minutes and 18 seconds. That's all.
It took a while to pick it up. I'm pretty impressed.
I figured he would have already said something about KP.
I figured the new intro would be welcome to episode 233 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. I have a Chinese alligator. And then just keep going.
But yeah, Timothy,
easily loved more than
it's funny. I don't ever
so.
see a full-grown alligator posted from someone that lives up north. Like,
because where are they going to keep it when it's cold and it's full grown?
The only time I ever see in some of these crocodilian groups where someone has a full-grown alligator is if it's like some alligator farm or like someone that lives in Florida.
Yeah.
But you never see, everything up there is like 4.5 foot long and 22 years old. And you're like, well, that's not right.
It's not okay.
Yeah, we talk about it with reptiles all the time that their problem is that a lot of them are bulletproof. And unfortunately, they will live through a lot of horrible shit.
No, it's true. That is the downside of an animal that is very, very hardy, is they can live through some real bad stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when they do start showing symptoms of something being wrong, oftentimes it's too far past for us to really do anything about it.
Well, yeah, because like fish, you screw up a fish tank, it's going to die.
Yeah.
Right. If you screw up a fish tank or if you're a tank with the turtle, it's just going to have a messed up shell and still live for the next 30 years looking horrible. And the person's going to go, it only grows to the side of the tank that you never put a light on. Or reptiles' cousins, the fucking birds, die if you use the wrong frying pan. So that's just weird ass.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So
that's so crazy.
Yeah. You can't use the wrong candles or frying pans or you'll kill your bird.
Yeah.
And a turtle you can put in a tank and never take care of it and it'll live for 30 years.
That's why I texted you the other day and I was like, can I put my wax melt next to the corn snake? And you were like,
the reptiles are
she's
good.
Totally fine. I'm like, I've been hearing all these things and I didn't want to like kill something in my classroom because I wanted to cover up the smell of fourth graders. Like,
oh gosh, I feel like I can sense that without just hearing the words.
Well, my co-teacher can't smell anything. She's been like that her whole life.
Wow.
So like even in like kindergarten, like when kids were talking about things that they could smell, I said, what did you do? She's like, I just sat there and like pretended like I knew what they were talking about. She's like, I've been like this my whole life. So like they can come in from recess and then like take their shoes off.
Gross.
And I'm like, your room smells like feet, put their shoes back on. Like I'm like, guys, sorry. Miss Lewis can smell things. Sorry. You got to keep your shoes on. You can do it first thing in the morning when you get here, but no.
I know it's never acceptable to take your shoes off at school. That's gross.
I mean, I walk around my class barefoot all the time.
Yeah, you also don't wear real shoes.
I don't wear real shoes.
Yeah, you end up with Walmart feet when you do
that. I clean my classroom.
Grocery store feet. Yeah. So talking about people buying animals they shouldn't need kind of leads us into our question for the night, which got a lot of answers. I
was excited to see the conversation.
And it kind of ties into a lot of what's going on in the hobby lately, which I'm sure we'll hit on some of that too. But I'll read the question and then we'll go through the answers and we'll discuss them. And is the reptile community actually capable of policing itself, or is there a role for government regulation? How do you think any of this should be done? I know the moment you mentioned government regulation, people's assholes pucker. So let's go through some of these, and a lot of them really good answers, and a lot of them exactly what I expected, which is not bad or anything. But Jay Simmons said, if we could get the community to agree on a set of standards that the majority of people were willing to follow, it would make a huge impact. Everyone has to accept the fact that we are working with these animals, and if we want to avoid adverse reactions from the outside forces, we need to respect the animals and handle them accordingly. Unfortunately, money clouds too many people's judgment. I don't always think it's money, though. Sometimes it's just people that are dicks.
People just want to be difficult to be difficult.
You know, we said it on here before. A large part of our community is the "you're not going to tell me what to do" kind of people, and that's what makes
they're defiant just for the sake of being defiant.
You know, or I've always done it this way.
I'm going to keep doing it the way I want.
And so that is the big problem with this. I agree. A set of community standards would be great. I will, let me preface before we go into all this. Yes, I understand there will be a set of people that will not follow rules. That's everything. People speed, people don't wear seatbelts, people shoot people. Like, I get it. There's people that will not follow the rules. So as we go through this, that gets mentioned. I get it. But we're trying to talk for the whole so that we can go, look, public, this is what we all agree on. The sane people, this is what we agree on.
So I discovered today, I was looking at USARK's website and I didn't know that this was there, but they have lists of standards for a number of things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On their website, they have standards for what it looks like to have an ethical reptile show and the kinds of things that need to happen. They even have like model agreements for like buyer's agreements that go through like, I understand the requirements for taking care of this animal. I understand what the caging needs look like. I understand what veterinary bills might be, like that kind of stuff that breeders can use. And I had no idea that this stuff was out there on their page.
That's cool.
Did their standards seem reasonable?
Because I think that's one of the things we've talked about a lot is like the need for some of these kinds of standards. And I thought it was really cool that they're working on putting some of those together.
And did they seem fairly reasonable based on,
I mean, it was definitely aspirational in some ways. But I think it's definitely, a very good step in the right direction.
Who did you say was doing that at
USARK on USARK's website?
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, and there's definitely,
it's important that USARK kind of gets to the forefront of some of that kind of stuff too. Because one of the ways that we, advocate for our hobby and, avoid the need for severe regulation is by, showing that we do have standards. It's not necessarily going to completely avoid it in the long run, but it's one of the things that helps. And so I thought it was really cool to see them doing that.
Well, and one of a few of the things are there's definitely certain sticking points that are going to be hard to get right. Cage size is always going to be a tricky one, right?
Yes. And I think as keepers, it's like, I certainly would bristle a little bit at, someone coming up with like set standards for this is how you need to keep X species. Because, for the same reason that I don't always really love care guides, because it gets people thinking very one-dimensionally and people can lose the ability to think creatively in situations where, the standard for whatever reason just isn't working for that particular animal. So like that kind of thing, I think gets a little bit more challenging, but it's still like, I don't know.
Well, it's tricky. I mean, then you end up with the extremist part that like England has, where their reptile show looks nothing like our reptile show, and they can say it's for the better or whatever. But like this weekend, I had an adult ball python in a deli cup. It was tight in there, but it was in there for 2 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in England, you cannot do that at a reptile. It's got to be in a tank that's a certain size for one snake that you're going to sell. Like it's not even. So they went extreme over there, and I forget what it is. Like there's certain things about
there are required cage dimensions and that sort of thing.
You can't feed live,
right?
And so that's tricky, especially if like you have trouble feeders, and live is kind of the way you need to go. And so that's one thing we got to try and not get to. We can't go to the extremes. So
and then I think what you can read some more of them if you want, and we can keep talking as some other points are made.
Derek Dykstra. Derek said. He said, no, the community will never, ever be able to police itself because the community is full of shit bags. That's not false. I hate government.
He's a law enforcement man, so I get that. I get that view.
He says, I hate government regulation. I don't think there is a perfect solution, though, and he can see the necessity of it. I think, and some of them mentioned, we'll see a little later, I don't think it's a necessity. I think it's a foregone conclusion. There will be something done.
Yeah.
We just have to try and get in front of it. Which is why I like USARK. USARK gives us a face, a face that people can look at and go, oh, look, they're not all just tattooed crazy people living like that's.
They put us in the room where the decisions are being made and give us a voice to help create solutions and change legislation, which is really wonderful because legislation rarely passes in the form that it's originally submitted in.
Yeah.
And so being able to provide that feedback and advocate for the community is hugely important.
Well, that's always a problem because every time you see like when a bill or a law gets passed that's animal related, it's never someone who actually has experience with that animal. It's always like someone from
same in education.
Well, it'll be someone from some government agency, some wildlife fishery agency. Like just because they work for that doesn't mean they have a fucking clue about what they're talking. Like I said, when they came to my house, that one time they came to my house to look for and give me a ticket.
I'm so glad that I lived in that same house with you.
I know.
It's not like it's ours or anything.
I'm talking to the people out there too, just because I'm looking at you. On the radio, they can't tell that I'm looking at you.
Whatever.
Way to ruin the moment, Katie. But those two guys had no clue what snakes they were looking at in my room, and they were sent there to enforce laws on snakes that they had no clue about.
Boa and freaked out, and it's like
boa.
a sand boa. I'm like, are you for real right now?
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think we can think of a lot of examples like that. You know, there was the situation in Florida last year where the boa was killed. It's a real thing. You know, government agencies are notoriously underfunded. I've worked for underfunded regulatory agency before, and it's they don't always do a great job.
Well, that's, you know, in something like that, you wish there was a way to have some, even if it was a volunteer basis, certified people that could go with them to these things and be their knowledge base, right? And go.
That's a super. I think that sounds really reasonable to me, but
you know, if they had someone that obviously wasn't the person they were there to punish, whatever, and they had someone that came with them, go, all right, guys, look, here's what these are.
You're there as a contract.
This is a boa. Don't kill this thing. We've talked about this. So
a consultant.
Yeah, like that I think is doable, but you'd have to, again, it'd have to be some sort of database of people that are qualified for that, and I think that USARC would be the right people to try and put that database together. I mean, I'm not trying to put work on them, but that, you know, it would have to be someone of that caliber, someone that says, look, this is the people. We can't just be like, you know,
I'll sign up.
Yeah, I mean, you see the kind of people that volunteer to do like relocations or rehabbing, and you're like, no, go away, stop it. You are not qualified. So yeah. Calgraph said, I would see a reason for government regulation if the people making these decisions that affected us were associated with the discipline or conservation efforts and not old white men beholden to oil companies. Okay, get that. But yes,
that was very
specific. But I get the roundabout. Yes, but it kind of fits in with what we're saying. People that understand the issue.
Yeah.
It's like
again, it's the same as in education.
but that's like, and now it's forever ago, but when the National Geological whatever was one that posted that map on how far Burmese pythons could fucking go, and they put them like Virginia and Washington DC. I'm like, dudes, go study your fucking rocks. Like, you're not snake people. That map is ridiculous. So, but again, they were a government agency, and so therefore somebody said,
hey, this is going to be your job this week. Come up with this.
They looked at some weather pattern in India.
They delegated some job.
They looked at the weather in India and went, yep, if this is the weather in India, they can live here too. I'm like, it's not how that works. Lori Tarini said, I have not seen any behavior from reptile keepers as a whole that would indicate a desire or ability as a community to police itself. Well-researched, evidence-based legislation that puts the well-being of animals above financial interest and human desire is needed to protect the animals.
I don't think any organization out there in any field or hobby has the ability to police themselves.
Yeah, I mean, not completely. Not completely. I mean, yeah. Like I said, because my dad always said it, the gun side has done a pretty good job of lobbying for themselves and being able to control things, and that's really they got a lot of money. So Todd Austria said no. Sadly, no. I think regulation is coming whether we want it or not.
I agree with that.
Unfortunately, I agree with that. Jason Creekmore said no unless a certified, well-educated board was put into place. But who votes board members into place? It gets very complicated if we do it ourselves, but it's better than having the government trying when they know nothing about it. That is true. I mean, appointed people are always tricky because it depends on who's appointing them.
Yeah.
Right. And if this becomes a government job to be appointed to some committee that makes these decisions, it won't be someone that...
It won't be our people.
No, it'd be someone whose friend is going, hey, I'm going to appoint you to a board so you can...
So you have this title.
I mean, I think all of this is hard because humans are fallible, right? And so there's always going to be these situations where, someone makes a bad call and there's not really a way around that.
No. And it's tricky because without some sort of standards and all to go by, it's like I keep my sandbows in tubs and I'm okay with that. And I think it's okay. But there's going to be someone who goes, no, that sandbow needs to be in a 20-gallon tank. And if it's not in a 20-gallon tank, you're keeping it wrong.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that is on my mind a lot right now is in the tree monitor world. So blue tree monitors are currently being considered for addition to the endangered species list. And when that happens, that's pretty much going to shut down interstate trade in blue tree monitors. And it could happen any day now. And it's one of those situations where, you know, do blue tree monitors need like severe conservation help? Like, abso-fucking-lutely they do. But then is this particular solution the right answer to the problem? You know, I don't know that limiting, you know, the sale of ethically bred captive animals necessarily solves that problem. So, you know, so it's like also how narrowly tailored are the solutions to the problem? And that can be really tricky.
Well, you know, I mean, shit, look at crested geckos, right? At one point we thought they were extinct. And now look how numerous they are just captive bred in the hobby. Right. It's tricky, you know, they talk about like ball pythons, right? If ball pythons weren't seen as valuable as pets, they would just eat them, right? And who knows what would happen to the numbers of them there if they were just seen as food. But since they're seen as profit alive, it changes the way that some of that stuff is done there. So I think it's so messed up when we list something as endangered and then all of a sudden we're like, we can't do anything with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I say that.
Like, you know, ban the import of wild animals. That's fine. We have a ton of them here already. Like, we're good.
Your law should not affect what has been ethically captive bred.
Right.
You know, large constrictors, we legally can't import them anymore. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we legally can't import them anymore. So you don't see giant boxes of tons of green anacondas or yellow anacondas coming from South America and into here. But we have people breeding them. You can get them. Like, we can follow that rule. Like that just needs to be, you know, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Kate Mistral said government regulations present their own hellish problems, but find me one single instance of the community policing itself in any consistent way outside of really extreme and obvious cases of abuse or neglect. And even those instances are rare. Yeah. Brian Levin said, honestly, I have my private opinion, but anything publicly is zero regulation. When a group starts dividing itself, it's much easier to get legislation passed. I get that.
Well, you know what the 9 most terrifying words to hear are in American English language, right?
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
And that's right.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan said it in 1986.
Our buddy Nathan said neither. Unfortunately, too many people, partners and businesses to be able to properly monitor it all. It would need a full database of sellers and a big company to push it. Then again, it would just change the name and start over and claim they bought out another company. I could be known to have many reptiles living in deplorable conditions, and I could simply have my wife. Okay, that's kind of specific. That happens. Buy something after I'm known to be that guy. That has happened, actually. There's people that have done that. Max, our buddy Max Hicks, who, sorry, Max, you're not the best photographer we know anymore. So,
wow, shots fired.
Suck it, Max. We've seen in many instances that the government intervention means both in reptiles and anything else. I said, remember the government putting a bolt through the legal snake's head? That's the boa that we talked about.
Yeah.
When you lose rights, it's extremely difficult to win them back.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Pretty much impossible.
Yeah. Once they've set a precedence for something, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's like when the government says, hey, we're going to impose this fee, but then whenever this thing is paid for, we'll do away with the fee, toll roads. Yeah. Once you give them something, you're never getting it back. Well,
look at the economy. Everybody's like, we need the economy fixed. I don't think things are going to be cheaper. We just need things to quit getting more expensive right now because people have realized they'll pay for whatever it is right now.
Yeah. Well, when it's food and stuff, you really don't have a choice.
Right.
Yeah. Chaotic Creations says, I don't see a perfect solution on either side. We can't police it. Realistically, neither can the government properly without years of preparation. There are too many species with so many various care needs that without entire teams dedicated to each species, it would be disastrous. Many species could receive improper care because of what the government says they have to do over what's being proven. That's true, right? You have them telling what temperature this has to be, or what size this has to be, or how you can keep these. And if you're having those regulations set by people that have no idea about the care, and to them, a savanna monitor is a blue tree monitor. Like it's a monitor. It's the same. Those are the same thing. Keep them the same way.
Or even if it's someone who, gets it right, there are situations where, that ideal care scenario might not be the right one at that moment for that animal, because the animal's injured and needing to recover, or where it's a sick animal and it's needing warmer temperatures to recover from the illness, whatever it is. Like there are
always exceptions.
Yeah. This is one I saw. Tyson Dallas said, it really depends who the offending party is. If said party is a nobody, no problem. If said party is a well-respected hobbyist, no bueno. If someone tries to bring information to the attention of others, that person is vilified for trash talking a well-respected member of the hobby. As a result, people with information usually keep said information to themselves. We shouldn't have to fear being ran out of the hobby for trying to doing right by animals in the hobby. I agree and don't agree. I think we get caught up too much in this hobby that the big names, or that people tend to see as the big names, aren't really.
Everybody assumes just because you're a big name, you know what you're doing.
Well, it's not even that. They're not always sometimes the big name. They're just the loudest person.
Yeah.
They're not even the biggest person in that part of the hobby. They're just the loudest person. And so I think we put this imaginary clout on them that they don't have. And we think that, and so many people tend to follow them, but the people that are following them aren't the real reptile people either. Like there's
also people out there that are going to see it once and say, this is it. This is the law. And they're not going to want to vary at all.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's, again, that goes back to but there's an exception, and sometimes you have to make those exceptions. And
I think sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's just, look, Dick just got bit by the inland taipan, right? And there's a bunch of people that follow him, but he's not a big name breeder, big person. He's really nothing. He's just loud. Like hasn't done anything great in the hobby. Hasn't really been a big part of the hobby. He's just fucking loud and has a Facebook group. And so this happens, and some people came to his defense when it happened, because those people assume that he is an expert because he's loud. But we all know people who can keep venomous snakes a trillion times better than him, who are better keepers, who know how to handle it. And those are the people that people should be listening to. The problem is we live in a world. It's not just the reptile hobby. We live in a world where the loudest people get the most follows, even if they're not the most qualified.
That's true.
And unfortunately, those loud people are the reason a lot of these things are starting to happen to us. What were you going to say, Kori?
No, so I was just thinking, I think that's true, but it's also true that the cream has a way of rising to the top as well. Like people who really know their stuff and really contribute something positive to the community in general, like have a way of standing out, and a lot of times really do get the respect that they deserve in whatever their particular niche is. So, I think it goes both ways.
I agree. The problem is I think they get the recognition and everything they deserve in the circles of people that were going to recognize them and deserve them.
Yes, this is true. Not necessarily in the
public,
wider audience.
Yeah. Like the one thing I love about Ed and Emily at Snake Discovery is they have a huge reach. And I feel that for the most part, I have not really seen them do anything wrong. I mean, for the most part, they do everything right. And I'm glad that they have the reach they do. But I wish Clint's Reptiles had more of a reach. I think he has a good reach in reptile hobby, but I don't think he has as huge of a reach as I think he would, because he's educational. And I think it would be great for people to see that. Right?
His videos are just fun.
They are. He's a fun guy.
He's one of the ones that I really started watching when I really first got heavy into reptiles was Clint's, because he's obviously an intelligent guy, and he doesn't put any fluff on anything. It's all science based and accurate.
And he's such just a sweet, wholesome nerd.
Exactly.
Well, look, there's field herpers that have YouTube channels that are very interesting and do very cool stuff, but they're not picking up snakes, trying not to get bit, having it strike at them. And so they will be very interesting to us. But I wish it'd be very interesting to the other 3 million people that would rather watch someone get bit by something.
They don't have the shock and awe factor.
But then you look at someone like the 2 doofuses in Florida who are huge to the general public, but the rest of the hobby's like, yeah, we really don't respect what y'all do. And stop posting you trying to kiss your king cobra. Right. And that's the problem is those are the guys that the general public are going to go to for what should y'all do in this situation? And unfortunately, those are the guys that are going to represent us in some places. That's why we have to have USARK, because USARK has to be the one that represents us. They're the sane entity that can talk on behalf of us.
Representing the responsible reptile hobby.
And it's just, there's the ones that are the loudest sometimes are the ones that people, that's what they view as the hobby. Those guys that do stupid shit, that say they can hold an inland taipan the right way that it can't bite them. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for all these.
I don't either. I think it's a really interesting subject to think about and talk about. And I certainly, I certainly don't have the answers to it at all.
I wish as keepers we could agree, like those of us that vendor reptile shows and those of us that breed and that talk to each other. I wish we could all agree. And I think a lot of us do, but I think sometimes a lot of us do, and yet then still do our own thing, which may not be the thing that we agree everybody should do. And at the same time, look, I don't vilify some people that are doing the things that we disagree with. Look, all of us know people at shows that we love as people, but as part of the hobby, we kind of wish they would step away.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And look, what they did for forever. Yes, that's how it's been done forever. Doesn't mean it's right, but it's how it's been done forever. And I'm not saying they shouldn't keep animals on their own, but I don't like them being a public face.
Yeah.
That people see. And so it's just, I don't know. I wish we could all agree on something, but it's never going to happen because we can't all agree on anything. Look at the goddamn dress pictures they post on. Is it blue or is it white? So I mean, we can't agree on shit, even when it's in front of us.
Cold.
Timothy said Kori is a great example of a well-respected person in the hobby, but the general public isn't aware because she's not doing the influencer loudmouth thing. That's true.
Well, thank you.
Right? I mean, you're not all over everywhere. We all know who you are, and anybody listens to any of the podcasts, they all know who you are, and they surf on you. But we're not the ones that need to know who you are, really, because everybody else needs to, because they need to see that Kori, who 5-6 years ago, not a reptile person, now is doing great, and she's not a weirdo. That's the problem. Is the general public thinks we're just so weird.
I mean, I'm definitely a weirdo.
But you're not the weirdo the general public thinks is a reptile.
Yeah. No, I don't fit the stereotype at all.
Nope.
I think our weirdo level of our people we know is on a sliding scale.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
I mean, we're all a bunch of
weirdos.
Look, and I know plenty of the weirdos that are on the public side of what they think of a weirdo reptile person.
And James is not even the tattooed one in our relationship.
That's true. I'm not doing tattoos. That shit hurts.
I have 3 of them.
That shit hurts. I'm not doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
How do you know it hurts? You've never gotten one.
Everything hurts. I'm not fucking doing it.
You're such a pansy.
I'm not a pansy. I have no pain threshold. I can't help that I have
conversation in depth.
We did.
I'm ready. I'm ready for another one.
We talked about it. I can't help that I have no pain threshold. I'd love to get tattooed, but I'd have a dot. It would just be a dot.
We'll get matching dots.
Thanks for the dot, and then I'd leave in tears.
We'll have matching freckles.
And I love people like they feel like they can guilt me. Oh, don't be a bitch. No one out there can guilt me into shit. No. I don't ever. I don't care what you may think.
Nope.
Yeah, you're like my husband, just immune to peer pressure.
Well,
he is. He totally is.
Well, it's like this
amazing.
This podcast, like, at no point am I like, I need to be famous. That's why I do a podcast. Or I need people to listen to. I'm like, I do this so that I can get on here for like an hour and a half and talk with my friends every week about stupid shit that no one else really cares about.
Some people care. Because a lot of people listen to it.
I do want to say thank you to Nikia for coming out. She was at the show this weekend.
I missed her.
And she came by and said hi. So one of our listeners, Nikia, was at the show. And then the show was fun this weekend. I got to hang out with Kori. Yeah. Kori sold some Ackies.
And a tree monitor.
I was there for
a tree monitor
45 minutes on Sunday.
That's right. You did. I do remember you said, yeah. Kori made her weekend. She sold 1 lizard.
There you go.
Yeah.
I sold 4 snakes, and Kori still made way more than my 4 snakes.
That's okay though.
That's
Because your 4 snakes paid for your weekend and paid for the Rosenberg show.
They're also going towards my rack that I'm eventually getting. I'm getting a bigger rack.
Yep.
Talking about the caging size, I am going to try and house things in bigger tubs. I like tubs. I'm not moving away from tubs, but if I can house a full-grown sand boa and a V70, like that's a big ass tub for a sand boa.
Yeah.
So no one can say shit. I mean, they still will, but
that's the rule in our house: is the snakes have to pay for their own upgrades.
I like it.
Yep.
But no, I enjoyed this. It was a fun show this weekend.
It was a good show, and it seems like a lot of people had a really good show. It was busy. There were people in from out of town.
It was less vendors than usual, whether that was from hurricane or anything else. But I liked it.
My understanding is that was intentional and is a step that we're making. And I think it's a good one.
Yeah, me too.
So it will certainly make it hard for newer people to get in, which is kind of a bummer. But
well, that's what I've said. It's hard for someone like me, not someone like you who does this as a job, because you know that you're going to have offspring all year long.
Sort of. Right? I mean, I've been vending without animals to sell for the past year.
Yeah, but that's fine because you have animals that can do waiting list.
Yeah.
If you want to do a waiting, like that's one thing I think people should also learn from this. And from you is that, you did what everyone says you should do if you're going to go try and breed and make money and do this. And then you're like, that's not it. And you found a completely different niche that you enjoyed. And 2, if you breed a clutch, that clutch is sold.
Right.
It's not, you're not sitting around on monitors for a year and a half.
You know, the Reddies,
unless you choose to.
The Reddies said that to me this weekend about that is what an ARBC is for them. They were like, we don't ever sell anything in an ARBC, but we're going and people are seeing us and people are seeing what we have.
Sounds like nobody else is selling anything in an ARBC at this last one either. It was
unless you're Kori.
I did quite well at an ARBC.
Kori did well at that one.
but they said 100% that is they know going in that is a marketing source for them.
Yep. I specifically had several customers at that show who met me at the first one, went home, did all their prep work, got their cage ready, and then came back to the show to buy their animal from me.
That's awesome.
I thought that was pretty badass.
Norm, I agree. Kori does need to vend the Kansas show, but she'd sell out of everything, I'm sure. So she'd have nothing to vend the rest of the shows. Although she'd be fine with that because she'll be traveling the rest of the world.
So Saturday morning, maybe it was Sunday morning, Zirkle Reptile had posted a thing about, I don't know, a show and it being too many vendors or whatever, and there was a bunch of conversation, and I got into a conversation with a guy about the amount of shows everywhere now, and just curiosity got the best of me, so I went and just did a quick search of all of the different promoter websites, and from my count, it looks like there would be 54 reptile shows in Texas this year.
Wow,
that's more than one week.
A lot of reptile shows.
Yeah. Only
Texas has one of the more active, groups of reptile keepers, but that's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike is here. Nice to see you, Mike.
How's it going, Mike? Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Like, the general public likes the idea of that because they just get to go to a show and see stuff, and they're like, I'm not buying stuff. That's fine. But the problem is, it costs money. Like to go to a show for a vendor, it costs money to go to a show.
It does.
And if everybody's just walking around looking, well, I saw a snake to a guy today this weekend. He looked at it, he's like, I really need this to be a female. I'm like, well, it's a male. And then I talked him into it and he bought it. I was like, shit, that's awesome. So I'm like, now he has to try and find a female. And then Tracy was watching my snakes. She sold a snake. And then the next day that couple came back and they were just looking, and I was like, I'll make you a deal on this. And they bought another one. So they ended up with 2 snakes from me. So it was a good weekend for me. But I think, again, I'm selling boas, which there were boas there, but it's not a ton, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not selling ball pythons. I'm not selling cresties. Again, if that's what you really enjoy breeding and keeping, that's fine. But if you're just like, I need to do this because the hobby says I need to breed ball pythons so I can vend, that's not what you need to do. Talk to Kori. It did not work that way.
One of the things that I've noticed over the past year is it seems like a lot of, my friends in the ball python world are, finding another species to work with, as a passion project and diversifying their collection a little bit. And I think that that's super awesome because there are so many cool reptile species out there that are profoundly underrepresented. And yeah, there's so much to do out there and so many neat animals that we need to see more of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I saw this weekend. Oh, so one thing I saw this weekend that I wish I'd have stopped and gone and like, hey, can I hold it? Because it was sold in like 10 minutes after I saw it. Was there was an Egyptian Euro there this weekend.
Yeah.
I really don't know. That's basically a Euromastix the size of a Chihuahua.
Holy cow.
It's a big Euro.
It's freaking awesome. Speaking of Euros, you've just gotten into Euros.
Yeah, I did. So I picked up a little group of orange banded Euros from David at Eclectic Reptiles. I won a certificate at an ARBC auction for his stuff, and I had been keeping my eye on this for a while. And dude, they are so much fun. They're probably my favorite animals in my collection right now. They're so friendly. They're like out all the time. They're really, really neat little animals. So I'm super.
That's another person who does this whole reptile hobby the right way.
He's a cool guy.
Yep. So much experience. I mean, coming up through like VPI, it's hard to get better mentorship than that.
Yeah, that's true. Timothy asked for Collodi's updates. I saw you had one on the table this weekend.
Yeah. So my original group of Collodi's all ended up being males. And I tomorrow I'm going to be getting 2 females. I traded for one and I bought one. So I have one extra male that I need to place somewhere. But as of tomorrow, I'll have 2 full adult pairs, and hopefully we'll start rocking pretty quick.
It's just funny. So we talk about Brittany Reed's also another one who has a very diverse collection of things that once she has them, they sell pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny because as a hobby, if you go to a show, you would assume Cresties, Beardeds, and Ball Pythons. Those are the things. Those sell. But in reality, you're really not seeing the stuff that sells at a show because it never makes it to a show.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was amazed that you actually had monitors for, any of your monitors.
Well, it's because I've done almost no marketing of them so far until I haven't. Today was I think one of the first times I posted to Morph Market.
And they'll be gone in no time.
Yeah, generally, and literally, the only green tree monitor I had sold today. But yeah, I've generally just been having people reach out to me when they see me post on Instagram or whatever, and so I just haven't been putting a lot of effort into moving things, but. Yeah, it seems like they're moving pretty well. And what I love is that most of the people who've been my customers so far have done their research and prepped their cages and all of that kind of stuff ahead of time. And I really, really love selling to people who have done their homework and really excited to get the animal.
And if
it gives you the peace of mind knowing
it does.
Going somewhere safe.
It does. And they're all my little babies. And I love it. I want to see them all grow up. And
if you like reptiles and say you own a crested, that's fine. But look at some of the other stuff that's out there. So if you're I'd like to breed at Reptiles. And again, not everybody has to breed. Please just know that I'm not saying everybody has to breed. Not. But if you're I want to breed something, if I like it, when you go to a show, don't find the most numerous thing there. Find the most oddball thing there that someone has bred, not the most oddball thing there that is on a table that was imported yesterday, because that's probably not going to be the best for you as a first time. But find the most oddball thing. If you go to Brittany Reed's table, those little fucking viper geckos and some of those little things that you don't see everywhere. Look into those things because a lot of those things have the same care of some of the other animals you like. You just don't know they exist.
Yeah,
and you don't have to buy it the second you see it.
Yeah,
you can also see something you haven't heard of, and then. Spend the night researching it and figuring out if that's really what you want before making a commitment to it. And I wish more people would do that too.
Yeah. Because I mean, look, if you like keeping small lizards, there's a ton of different types of anoles that no one realizes they're in the trade that if you could figure that out and get them.
What's that thing that Amanda Reddy has? It's as long as my finger when it's full grown. It's bright yellow and green. They're this big when they're babies.
Oh, they're what little gecko are they?
Those things were super colorful.
I can't think of it. It's not a morning gecko.
A day gecko?
Yeah, I think they're a little day gecko of some sort.
It may be some type of a day gecko.
Should a day gecko.
They are like lime green, bright blue.
Neat.
They're cool looking. But I was like, look at how tiny this is.
Is that what she had this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a day gecko on her too.
And she said she was telling me like full grown. It's just a little longer than like your pointer finger.
Oh wow.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Little itty bitty tiny things scare me.
Yeah, I don't want anything that's that small.
Like I think
she was saying that they're that particular lizard is very personable. And she said, let this grow up a little bit more and it would be perfect for like a class pet because it's always out and about and it's super active and it loves, people and being curious. And
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And also what I see up and coming is probably skewed for other people. So like where we are, Coyotes and Knowles are a big thing, but also like for the people I know, that's a big thing of what they like. That's what they've gotten, right? So you see them a lot right now because Cody has some, and Brittany Reed has some, and David has some, and you have Coyote. Like I see a lot of them, but I think these are all things that are going to catch on. Like I think
it's just this one little like hot spot in Texas for the most part, and then there's a couple other breeders who are having success with them nationwide, but they certainly haven't caught on a widespread level yet. Though they should, because they're really cool.
That's why
Cody
I think
doing snakes anymore.
Yeah.
What?
Is Cody still doing snakes?
Yeah, he is. He's still doing snakes.
He had both there this weekend.
Yeah, he did. He started bringing some of his lizards finally. Which
I know. That was the first time I've seen him have lizards on his tail.
Yeah.
I knew he had them.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen them yet.
Yeah, his collection is absolutely incredible.
Because there's a ton of really cool little anoles, and if you're someone who likes bioactive stuff,
yeah,
is amazing for you. If you're like, I will show off, some of those anoles are amazing pets.
Yeah,
I love going to Brittany Reed's place and just looking at shit. I'll just be like, hey, what do you have now? And I'll just go around and just look at everything in there.
Yeah.
But so like I say all the time, go out and look at other reptiles. Don't just look at the thing that is the most popular.
But also, if what you really, really love is ball pythons, like don't let that scare you from working with ball pythons. Like work with the thing you love. Like
yes,
I think that's the most important thing of anything.
Whatever you get excited about.
But understand if you're like, oh man, I just really love clowns and I just want to breed clowns, you're probably gonna get stuck with a bunch of clown babies.
Understand the marketplace as well.
Yes.
You go into it with open eyes and know what you're getting into. For sure, if you're going in on the breeder side. But again, you don't have to breed everything.
Nope.
It's cool to have pets. There are a lot of really great reptile keepers I know who don't breed. So it doesn't have to be the path for everyone.
Are the
unicorn probably not going to be the path for me forever? Like it's just, at some point I'm just going to end up with some animals that I really enjoy keeping, and that'll probably be it. But yeah, I think we tend to overemphasize breeding, and it's not the be all end all.
Well, that's the problem is we hang out with breeders.
Yep.
So like when we talk to our listener, our buddy Darren Watson, who has two snakes,
2 animals, 2 reptiles.
2 reptiles. That's
what is my mind? I love it.
That's crazy. Timothy in the chat said he had a hard time selling captive bred Cuban Knights because everyone had the impression that they had the wild caught temperaments. That's going to change. That's changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot more captive bred Cuban Knight anoles in the hobby in the near future.
Oh yeah, there's some incredible Cuban Knight anoles coming out.
And that is an awesome little pet lizard.
It really is.
I say little. They're not even little. I mean, they're a decent. Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
Anyways, all of that to say, we have no idea how to fix the hobby. Good luck.
No, I wish I could wave a magic wand and make it all solved, but that's way above my pay grade. I don't have any of the answers on that at all. But I really enjoy hearing other people's perspectives on it.
Education is the one thing. When I mean education, like talk to people. Like talk to people about what you think is right. The more that people hear different ideas on how to take care of stuff, how to do stuff, the more they can start to pick out what may be better. Again, some people just don't know.
Yeah.
They know what they were told when they were 6, turtles don't outgrow their tanks. They only grow to the size of their tank, right? They were told that, and you'll find adults all the time who still believe that. Educated adults.
Yep.
Who still believe that kind of stuff, right? I've talked to people that I have this alligator, and people will go, "Well, it won't outgrow that tank, right?" I'm like, "No, it'll definitely outgrow this tank." When you feed it, it grows. That's how it works.
Yeah. Chunk.
And so you just got to talk to people. That's why when you go to shows, talk to people. You can always learn more. You can always teach people more. If you're vending a show, please talk to people.
Yeah.
Just those, especially since some people get so mad at these shows and like all these people are here. They're zoo people. They just want to walk around and look at stuff. That's fine. You can still talk to them. If they don't, they're there and they don't know anything.
This is a prime opportunity to educate them
because they're going to be a soldier in the fight for a lot of this regulation when it goes to start passing. Yeah. You can get these people that realize. Or
you could have a conversation with them and change their way of thinking. And then they could be on our side.
And then Kori could sell them a tree monitor.
Because as much as we don't, as much as we may not want to say it, there's going to come a time in our future where people are going to have to pick a side.
Well, and look, the world's full of stupid people, and stupid people are going to keep doing stupid things, and stupid things cause laws to get passed.
Yep.
Most of your laws exist because of stupid people.
But exposure to new things definitely helps.
Yes. So, all right. Oh, look, Brandy O'Quinn's in the. Hey, Brandy.
Hey.
Saw her this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the show this weekend. I hate that you weren't there.
It was a long weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We got rid of a bunch of baby newts.
Meds are starting to kick in, so I'm starting to get a little tired.
We got rid of a bunch of baby newts now, so we got 19 less newts.
That was great.
Yes.
She sold all 19 of the ones that were ready to go.
She sold.
James hustled and James found them.
I fucking sold 19 of those newts.
Did you sell them all to like one person for their pet store, or
no? Sold a lot to one person for a pet store, and another person they wanted them as pets because they were a person who breeds a bunch of other newts and salamanders. They didn't have any of these. They wanted to try them, so they got them.
Won't know what they got for another year or so because you can't really tell.
Well, yeah, he didn't even know because he didn't know about the weird little pads on the things, and I explained the way they breed because he does axolotls, and I was like, yeah, it's not that gentle.
No,
it's a lot more WWE.
Yeah.
Than National Geographic. It is.
Yeah.
But now we're raising up like 30 more babies at some point.
Yeah.
And we haven't killed these yet.
I know. But she figured out all the issues the first go around.
Ooh, so many dead baby newts. I apologize to those baby newts. But we figured it out. Yeah. So we can make sure our kid didn't screw it up. Damn kids. All right. Let's get out of here. Kori, if people want to bug you about your amazing lizards or
look at your awesome
if they want to look at your awesome photos.
Yeah. So Instagram and Facebook, Kori Martin Reptiles and Kori Martin Photography.
Yes, go follow both of them. The
Please.
Pictures are awesome. And she's going to Australia soon. She's going to Australia rather than come to Carpet Fest, which is bullshit. You could just come here, pretend it's Australia.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
It's the same. You're at Reptilandia. You could just sit inside of a cage. It'd be the same thing.
He's going to pout all
if I could sit inside a cage at Reptilandia, I would be the happiest person on the planet.
Right.
Just sit and take pictures all day.
Yeah.
Kyle, she did talk about the coyotes a little bit.
So basically all 4 of my grubs ended up being males, but I'm getting 2 females tomorrow. So I'll have a couple of pairs and hopefully get them going.
Those are going to catch on. Those are going to be a big thing soon. I think people
they're such cool animals.
It's that bright red head that really gets everybody.
Well, and the fact that they're just constantly changing color all the time, and they're such a beautiful display animal.
And they look cool with the spiky back, and
they have these like eyes where they always look like they're judging you. And so I really like the fact
that's what I want. I want my animals to judge me.
Right?
No,
mine already.
That's why I like
already full of sass.
I like Sambos with their stupid eyes. I'm good.
Yeah.
So go follow Kori.
My dog judges me enough. I don't need anything.
I ignore the dog. We're good.
So judgmental.
Also, you could go on Cold Blooded Caffeine and buy Kori's coffee. Is that on there?
It's not on there, but you can buy it from me at shows.
You can buy it from Kori at shows. She has some coffee.
I have my own coffee. It's pretty amazing. It's
cool.
It's single origin Guatemalan. It's wonderful.
Kyle said I'm waiting for one of those animators who do cute animal facts in cartoon form to do newt sex version.
Oh God.
That would be freaking awesome.
That would be hilarious.
Just male comes off the top rope and grabs her and slams her down. is the most abusive. I say it's not the most abusive thing. Blue tongues or lychees would be far scarier. This is more just funny. Michael said your coffee is very good.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Like literally, I'm just happy to be able to get it at wholesale and drink it myself every day. And so if other people get some too, that's amazing.
That's fabulous.
Kyle, you need to find a way to get to Reptilandia. Just make a trip, pay the money, get there, come to Reptilandia. It's not way too far for anybody. You can do it. If you believe. Kori's going to Australia. She's going to Australia. You can come to Reptilandia.
Reptilandia is pretty amazing.
And in Reptilandia, you can pretend you're in Australia or South America or Asia or Southeastern United States. So, okay, before you go, favorite exhibit at Reptilandia, Kori?
Oh God, that's a hard one. Okay, so for me, it's going to be it's. I have several favorites. So I really, really, really obviously love the Croc Monitor one. I think it's
we'll take that off the list because that's
incredible. But I like the tree monitor ones because they're 2 stories tall, and you always see them at the very tippy top of the 2-story enclosure. And for me, that just like really puts it into perspective about exactly how high they like to be.
That you need to have all your cages be 2 stories tall.
Yeah, exactly. No problem.
You need a whole wall, like like Bell with the library with one of those ladders. Yeah, one of those ladders that roll back and forth.
For me, it almost like put me at ease because I was like, well, whether my enclosure is 4 feet or 6 feet, either one is like woefully inadequate. So like I don't have to stress out a whole lot about it. Like there's not a huge difference between
You're fine. I screwed up no matter what.
Terrible. So.
I'm a horrible keeper no matter what. We'll keep it going.
No matter what.
Oh my gosh.
That is a cool one. Just seeing it up there. Yeah. I like the mixed species exhibits.
I do too.
Watching big ass yellowfoot tortoise swim
around. I was going to say the yellowfoot was probably my favorite that day, simply because of how active they were.
Yeah.
I've never seen them that active before. It was very cool.
Yeah. Kyle said it's too far for him. I'm like, fly into Austin and then it's an hour drive and
it's right there.
You're there.
Yep.
And then you're at Reptilandia and it's the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
That's right. You just spend the weekend in the whole country, get yourself some good barbecue.
Or just stay all day inside the building.
Or just spend all day at Reptilandia. That works too.
Just sit there and stare at croc monitors 25 feet in the air.
And I'm just going to bring a chair and like a book to read and just like find a corner. And
I'm looking forward to seeing everything at night.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Like, and being
Ari told us a lot of the things come out at night. You've never
so in case other people haven't heard, Carpet Fest happening in October. It's at Reptilandia. Really, really good opportunity to, get to see, kind of get a private look at Reptilandia. It's
an all day private look at Reptilandia too.
Yeah.
Because that's the fun thing is you get to see things like you get to be there all day. You'll really get to see things move around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And throughout the day, how you can see how the exhibits change because like it might be foggy at one point and then it'll be completely different later. So.
And see species you never knew existed. It's not like you go to some zoos and you're like, I've seen that before. Before. But I mean, they have they've got Komodo dragons and they've got, anacondas.
You say that like it's nothing.
It's not a Chinese alligator.
I can sit and watch Komodos all day long.
They're cool. I'm not saying they're not cool, but I'm saying there's a lot of there's really small stuff that I think is neat because you never see it anymore.
They have diamondback terrapins and I could watch those all day too.
That's where I first saw coyotes and fell in love with them.
So. You can see a giant Bolin's python exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great exhibit.
Does not have Sanzinia.
It's funny because when we were looking at the coyotes there, I was like, I wonder who donated these. And then looked at it and I was like, of course it was David.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't remember them having Sanzinia. They have Dumerals. I can't remember if they have Madagascan ground boas yet.
They have a whole lot of Caribbean, like obscure Caribbean boas, which is
yes, they do. Mm-hmm. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
they had Madagascan ground boas.
Did they?
Yeah, they had two different exhibits with them in it.
That's right. They did have them, but they didn't have Sanzinia. I remember because I remember that seeing them.
Yet.
I love those. Yet.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming.
All right.
They have a Parenti.
Oh, they have a print. That's true. They have a Parenti of one of I don't know, probably 2 in the country. They've got one of them. So, the Cuban boas are cool. They also have a cool big Hog Island boa cage too, with several Hog Island boas in there.
I remember that one.
And it's one of those places like you really got to pay attention to where you're going because like just cages pop up around corners and they'll be.
And you walk through once, and then when you walk through a second time, you're seeing totally different stuff in these exhibits that you didn't even realize was there the first time.
Yep.
Like the Southeast United States one's fun because it's got rattlesnakes and rat snakes and lizards and box turtle. Like it's a bunch of stuff in there, all moving around. So come out there, see us. We'll all be there.
I think we have Ari on
our house,
in a couple of weeks.
Is our house booked?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought. Yeah.
I think our house.
Because I've already sent part of our payment.
Okay, then it's booked.
Yeah.
Robert will be there. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Katie will be there. Kori will be in fucking Australia.
I'll be there in spirit. I'm a sponsor, so my logo will be there.
So everybody feel free to spit on it.
No.
Oh, no.
So ugly, James.
God.
You're so ugly.
Oh, yes, Nakia, you need to book yours and come hang out with us. Even if you didn't get a boa from me and you got it from David, whatever. It's not like David has nice boas or anything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He only has one that you've been drooling over.
I was going to say, is he still have the one?
No, he probably doesn't know that. That's probably gone. But he will have another one, and I will eventually get one.
I'm sure.
We will be back next week. Hopefully, have you talked to our guest? You text her yet?
No.
She doesn't know?
My phone's downstairs.
We'll be back next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're going to be on. So look for us Wednesday. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll do our episode that I recorded at Conroe. I sat down with Hayden again as my guest.
Yes,
co-host.
She told me that I need to listen to these.
No, you don't want to listen to them. Don't let your kids listen to them. We talk about Hayden's leech tits and a lot of it. It's very interesting episodes. We only did 2 interviews and both of them were like 40 minutes long.
That's what she said.
Wow.
So they were interesting to say the least. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back again next week. Kori, hang around. Good night. Where's my mouse at? So I can say goodbye to everybody. Hold on, everybody. You can still see us.